Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Red Doggy Projections. Today, we'll be taking a look at yesterday's June 2nd primary results in a bunch of states. We're going to focus on 5 main ones, and we'll be taking a look at it today and analyzing them. My name is Lucas. I have Eric here with me today.
Hey guys.
And let's get right into the episode. So the 5 races that we've chosen to analyze and take a look at today, Eric, you want to name them?
Yeah, sure. So, not in order, but we're going to be talking about Pennsylvania's 8th district House primary. Then we're going to be talking about Montana governors, and then we're going to talk about New Mexico's 2nd district. Then we're going to talk about Baltimore mayors. Yes, mayor primaries also are accounted for in this Super Tuesday-ish. And lastly, we're going to be talking about Iowa's 4th district for the House.
That's correct. I do want to remind our viewers that these are absolutely not all the key races. We just want to cover a couple of coasts. We know that this video will be way too long if we cover all the key ones, but we chose the ones that are most prominent so far. So I'll start by discussing Montana's primary election for the Democratic side. This is one that kind of matters more than a Republican one. I'm actually quite surprised by the results. We have a popular governor, Montana has a popular governor right now. His name is Steve Bullock. He is a Democrat. He is currently, pretty popular. 3rd most popular, I think, somewhere around there. He's term limited. He's actually running for the Senate, which you'll see in our other past videos. His lieutenant governor is Mike Cooney. Obviously, as the lieutenant governor of a popular governor, people were thinking, oh, he'll probably, win the Democratic primary. This is kind of expected here. What was surprising was he only won by about 10 points. I was expecting a lot more. He is the lieutenant governor of a popular governor. I'm kind of surprised. I was thinking maybe 60%, because he will have an uphill battle at the general election against the Republican nominee. But this does look to see, this is kind of showing that there are possibly some issues. Maybe he's going to have some trouble when he runs in the general election. So this is quite interesting to look at. What do you think about this, Eric?
Yeah, I was expecting a bit more from Cooney, considering that he has some sort of popularity advantage. But it's not that he is losing, and he is leading. So, yeah, sure. Let's go to New Mexico's 2nd congressional district. Here for the Republican primary, we have Yvette Herrell. And she, in the November election, will be going up against the same Democratic candidate she did lose in 2018.
Yes,
so it's interesting
Xavier Torres Small. That's the name.
Yes, that's the Democrat. Here, she did win the primary in a pretty comfortable margin, and it will be interesting to see how she will fare against the same candidate she lost to 2 years ago.
Most of the experts put this race as toss-up. There was a slight advantage to the Tilt D. This is why we care about this race so much. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Yvette Herrell can win the seat that she lost in, she lost the election in 2018. We're going to head now to Pennsylvania's 8th district primary. We have Jim Bonnet here. He won in pretty tight margin, 27%. He is a former Trump official. He will be facing off against Matt Cartwright come November. The experts put this one as also varying ratings. Cook Political put this one as toss-up. And the other two put it as either lean D or likely D. I'm not sure, honestly, which way this might go. Personally, I think it will be quite close, but I do think the Democrats do have a slight edge in the general election. Again, not really surprised here, but that's a pretty tight margin. I think we didn't cover this in a previous video. Yeah, very interesting. The polls are pretty close in the general election. So, Eric, you want to move now to Iowa's 4th congressional district? I do want to give some background first, though. Steve King has served for a very long time, 17 years, I believe. He recently came under fire in 2019 for his white supremacist comments, and he has since kind of been chastised by the Republican Party. He was stripped of all his committee assignments, and I guess they really didn't want him to win re-election. So, Eric, you want to talk about the results here?
Yeah, and right, segueing from what Lucas said, you can clearly see how that controversy took a toll on him because he didn't even win the primary as an incumbent. Here we have Randy Feenstra winning the primary by, considering this is an incumbent, it's quite a margin, 9%, almost 10. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. But wow, 17 years. This is
Yeah,
well, I don't want to compare this. I don't want to compare this to New York 17, New York 14 in 2018 because that was a totally different scenario with Ocasio-Cortez. But this is quite interesting to see I mean, this was a bit expected, considering that he has been kind of, in a way, shunned by the Republican Party. He did win in 2018, but he did have a lot of money then. I heard that Steve King had a lot of issues this year with fundraising. So obviously fundraising is a big part because you got to send those campaign ads. If he didn't have that money to do that, personally, I don't think he can, kind of survive and win the election. So I do think, however, that Feenstra should be able to win it, but again, it's going to be quite close. I put this one as like tilt Lenar. It's going to be interesting seeing what would happen. All right, and now I think this is our final one now. Maryland, we're not going to be looking at this election. Actually, I'm quite interested. Let's just 2%. Okay. Anyways, we're going to be looking at the Baltimore mayor Democratic primary.
Interesting election.
It is very interesting. From the words of Ethan Ablagi, we did a collab with him a few videos ago. He told us essentially that Baltimore has this quote-unquote process. For the past few elections, a new kid on the street, new kid on the block, is very popular, gets elected in a huge margin, and then when they get elected and they become mayor, there's some scandal. The next election, they lose very badly in primaries. I find that to be quite interesting. And he says rinse and repeat, and it keeps happening over and over again. I mean, that does seem to be kind of true here. Bernard Young finished in fifth with 7%. Yeah, I'm told that he is under quite a few corruption scandals. And the funny thing is, Ethan Ablagi told me that Brandon Scott is the quote-unquote new kid on the street, on the block. Sheila Dixon's actually leading right now by 5%. Obviously, they haven't called the race yet because it's not in a solid dark purple and you don't see the check mark. But 49% in, leading by 6%, give or take. That's quite interesting. Wow, they had a lot of candidates.
For mayor.
Yeah, for mayor, Baltimore. I mean, it is a pretty big city, pretty major city here.
Yeah,
it's quite interesting. I don't know any other town like this where the incumbent becomes extremely unpopular and loses in a big margin. Bernard Young, I do not believe he was elected to mayor. What happened was his predecessor resigned and he filled in the spots. Quite interesting still. But I do think Sheila Dixon will win the general election because Baltimore mayor elections do usually seem to favor the Democratic candidate quite a bit. So essentially, the winner of the Democratic primary is pretty certain to win the general election and become the mayor.
Maryland is a Democratic state, so yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it is. It is, and so is Baltimore. Baltimore, we have a lot of minorities there. It's a huge city. We said a lot, so there's a lot more Democrats there. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you like our content, please hit subscribe. We'll see you in our next episode tomorrow.
See ya.